Hi, this is Glenn Gabe from G Squared Interactive, and this is episode 17 of SEO from the Front Lines. Today, we have a good one to cover. So I published a post early this morning. I wasn't planning on doing it, but based upon what I was seeing in the SERPs, I figured I had to at this point. So the title of the post, fittingly since it's Halloween season, is A Nightmare on Affiliate Street, How Google is Picking Off Sites One by One That Are Violating Its Site Reputation Abuse Spam Policy. So something, and I've been sharing about this on X and social media a lot, but little by little I've noticed sites that had heavy affiliate sections, it's big publishers, big names, that where those sections are really starting to tank. I actually uncovered that, Forbes, really dropped heavily. I shared that. Barry covered it. And from what I'm hearing, it's not a manual action, right? So a lot of these drops are algorithmically dropping these sites, right? So it's more of an algorithm than manual action, which is super interesting. And I'll cover more about that in a second. I don't want to jump to that point just yet. So here's my post, by the way, Mid-Journey, really amazing. That was like one prompt and it kind of nailed it. Just total side note. I'm a big horror movie fan, so this is a great time of year for me. But Freddy Krueger there with A Nightmare on Affiliate Street. So let's jump in. So the first thing I covered in my post was more about the Forbes Advisor drop, right? So this is something I noticed, as you can see in these screenshots, on September 25th, it really tanked. I mean, dropped heavily. All the tools are showing it. We know that it's dropped. I've checked the SERPs based upon those queries. Many queries have dropped in rank or are just completely gone now from the top 100. So something really big happened there. And again, it's not a manual action from what I gather. It was algorithmic. So super interesting that that's going on. Google's on record explaining that they have not implemented the algorithmic part of site reputation abuse. Danny Sullivan explained, reiterated many times now, that when they do that, they will definitely be vocal about it and tell us about it. Doesn't mean they're not testing it, which is a whole nother animal, which might be what we're seeing. I mean, who knows? But they are pretty clear that it is not that, and that site reputation abuse is really handled via manual actions right now. I wrote a whole post, by the way, total side note, about how the site reputation abuse manual actions are not the path forward, that algorithmic is the path forward. The reason is because there's loopholes and different things that can happen where you can kind of get out of it. For example, just removing no index from everything and you surge back. Now you may get another manual action, but in the short term, those pages could rank and stuff. So anyway, you could read that post of mine if you're interested. So that was the Forbes Advisor drop. But guess what? They were not alone. I have a whole list of sites that are violating Google's site reputation abuse algorithm update. Sorry, it's spam policy, not algorithm update. So these are sites, large-scale sites usually, bigger brands that have affiliate sections or coupon sections or whatever it may be. So I always check those. I run the numbers on visibility just to see what's going on there. I noticed some really interesting things with the August Broadcore update, but then digging deeper, I noticed that APNews Buyline, so this is APNews, which has a shopping section with reviews and stuff like that, completely tanked on July 18th. Like, you could see it here, really big drop. Then I noticed that Time Stamped, which is also a big section with shopping and reviews and stuff like that, also tanked on the 18th. So these were before anything that we were talking about with Forbes Advisor and even before the August Broadcore update. What's interesting is Time Stamped really dropped with the March 2024 core update and then really dropped off and almost got killed with the July 18th drop, which again is when APNews Buyline dropped. So now we have three kind of big prominent sites that have dropped like that, right? So, but it wasn't done there, right? So recently I shared that Fortune, which is fortune.com, very powerful site, has a recommend section, which is also the same type of stuff. That dropped heavily on October 11th. How heavily? Almost 70% drop in search visibility. You could see it here. That is a massive drop. Barry also covered that tweet of mine. And unfortunately, for sites out there that wasn't the only drop, right? So now we have multiple big sites dropping. So, the next part of the post, I talk about, an update on the site reputation abuse algorithm, right? And, that's where, I covered what Danny had said. Google says they haven't rolled it out. But again, it could be the testing of that algorithm, right? Because whatever's going on, since basically the end, there's been post-August core update volatility, a ton of it. That started on September 6th. That was 3 days after the core update officially completed. And then we've seen crazy volatility since then, all these unconfirmed updates and stuff. Google is aware of that. So they are pushing something, all these changes, right? So it could be that these changes are just impacting these sites in their affiliate directories very strongly. Totally could be that. It might have nothing to do with the site reputation abuse algorithm piece that they're working on. Or it could be, right? I mean, so we haven't heard from Google that they've rolled this out. They said they would tell us. So it could be just whatever they're pushing is doing a number on these sites. Now, they're not the only sites dropping, right? But it's just very interesting to see this. So let's talk about more sites that are dropping. So I just picked this up last night, which is Marketwatch Guides. So marketwatch.com, again, another very, very powerful domain. Look at the huge drops starting on October 15th, massive. But if you take a look back, right with the August core update, they dropped heavily. Not as heavily as they're dropping now, but again, this is algorithmic. It's really interesting to see. Then I know Lily Ray had shared about CNN Underscored and Wall Street Journal Buyside, two very similar types of setups there for very big publishers, obviously, news publishers. And you could see on the same date, they both completely tanked, right? I mean, Wall Street Journal Buyside saw a bigger drop in visibility than CNN Underscored, but both completely dropped, and this looks algorithmic as well. So, and the 27th is a date, by the way, that other sites have seen a lot of volatility. So, again, I'm not saying that these are the only types of sites dropping during this time. It's just really interesting to see this going on when we know Google's fully aware of site reputation abuse. They know it's going on these big publishers. These aren't manual actions from what I'm gathering, but it's still not the site reputation abuse algorithm update, or at least we think. So again, the last part of the post is where I'm talking about, Google's still quiet about this, right? So they haven't announced anything. And then here's just a sneak peek at I'm presenting at the NEST conference, which is News and Editorial Summit for SEO. That's on Tuesday. If you're interested, at 9:15 a.m., I'll be presenting all about major algorithm updates in 2024 and how they impact media and news publishers. But here's just a slide where I show how the manual actions from May, because remember we had 2 months notice from the March update that Google would start enforcing site reputation abuse. And you could see that, those directories that got manual actions completely tanked, obviously. A lot of de-indexing went on, so on and so forth. But they went after easy targets, which were like coupons and deals and stuff like that, directories on major sites. What we're seeing now is like really the reviews part of it, which is kind of a different animal. So that's where we are. I just ended the post by saying I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this. I will update this post if I hear anything from Google, if Google announces anything, or if more sites start dropping. I do believe that we probably will see more of larger brands and sites and publishers dropping for those directories. Now, the one thing I wanted to throw out there is if you are, an SEO or a site owner or anyone doing this, right, with site reputation abuse, the danger becomes, it's bad if this happens to your directory where this is going on. I mean, but if an algorithm update rolls out that impacts the site on a broader scale because of this, that could be really, really problematic. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but is it possible? Absolutely, right? And we've seen some really bad algorithm updates from Google over the years that kind of got out of control. The most recent being the helpful content update from September, which I call the HCUX, because user experience seemed very part of it, especially with aggressive ads. But, Penguin of the past got out of control. And then everything starts to get baked in the core just to kind of, who knows, hide it away or whatever they're doing with it. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Just be really careful with this stuff. That may be a topic for a whole nother podcast I do. But that's it. So again, thank you for watching. This is really interesting timing since Halloween's right around the corner, and this is kind of a spooky, slasher movie going out in real time with, with an SEO twist. But I will update this post as much as I can based upon what I'm learning. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.